So in today's Academy lesson, I really thought that I would go and surprise you by making this bill vanish, but you already saw the title of this lesson. So it kind of shows you that I'm using a particular gimmick. What I wanted to do though was show the bill just like this, and then take it, just fold it between my hands like this. And if you keep folding it, what tends to happen is that you could actually make it completely vanish. That's what I wanted to do. However, the problem is that you saw the title, and the title tells you that I'm using a thumb tip. So that's the spoiler here. But this is one of the most important gimmicks that a magician could learn how to use well, because learning how to use this gimmick really shows you a lot in terms of misdirection, and shows you a lot in terms of being able to hide gimmicks and being able to manage angles and being able to deceive the spectators that other gimmicks won't. And I think this is a great one because this is a covert gimmick. Now, thumb tip is exactly what it is. It's a little piece of plastic that looks like a thumb. Now, when you buy one of these, obviously you're gonna have to match skin tone. One of the more popular theories was a good magician would be able to use a fluorescent orange thumb tip and still get away with it. While that does tend to be true, I'd rather pick one that's a little bit closer to skin tone, so I'm not the point of a metaphor years later in a magic book. So make sure that you get a thumb tip that matches your skin tone. This one doesn't necessarily match it completely, but it doesn't matter because you're going to see that it still hides nevertheless. And these are not that expensive either. These could go for about $2, $2 to $5 in magic stores. If you look online, if you look on Amazon, you're going to be able to find them. If you have bigger thumbs, they do sell bigger sized thumb tips, but there's so many things you could do with a thumb tip. And making a bill vanish is just the tip of the iceberg here. Now, traditionally, thumb tips were used to make handkerchiefs vanish. So you would see a magician take a silk, put it inside of his hand. Usually it's done like this. They place it inside of their thumb. Then they put the thumb in. They steal the silk off. They make it vanish, and well, the silk is gone. And of course, you can make the silk reappear by just pulling it out of the thumb tip. Now, here is the interesting part about that. Spectators are aware of that trick. Spectators know that trick. Spectators know that trick uses a fake thumb. But that's the only thing they know that a fake thumb is used for. They don't know that it could be used to make coins vanish. They don't know that it could be used to make bills vanish. They don't know that it could be used to switch things. They only know in the context of that silk trick, which is a very, very interesting thing when it comes to lay people's mentality on magic. So we assume that spectators are completely aware of a thumb tip, but to them, it's the method used to make a silk vanish. So the best advice I could give you is don't use a thumb tip to make a silk vanish. As a matter of fact, don't make a silk vanish. It's 2019. But here are just some basics when it comes to using a thumb tip and using just basic angles to manage the fact that you don't want the spectators to see this. And also, I'm going to show you guys how to make a bill vanish. On the next lesson, I'm going to show you guys how to actually do a bill switch. So one of the more popular bill switches that you could do with a thumb tip. So as far as putting it on, you don't want to squeeze it and put it all the way on your thumb. That's the beginner mistake that I see most people make. And the mistake that I made is you put the thumb tip all the way in. Because what that does is that creates suction, and you don't want suction. You want this to be easy to remove, and you want it to be easy to come in and out of the actual thumb tip itself. Now, another interesting idea here is not putting the thumb on your thumb. So putting it on the middle finger is another viable option. And as you can see, if you manage your angles correctly and just flash the spectators in that case, you could actually get away with having a thumb tip on your middle finger. So that's a more advanced thumb technique. However, here, just for the sake of simplicity, you're going to put the thumb, I would say, about to the knuckle of the thumb here. So you're going to put the thumb tip rather onto the knuckle. That's where you want to be most of the time. Now, you don't want to show your hands like this. You never want to show your hands like this. Most of the magic books say hold your hands like this. However, I think the mistake here is the actual length of time that you're holding your hands like this, because all the magic books say you never want to do this because obviously that exposes the thumbs. However, in pointing the thumbs directly at the spectator, you're going to notice that the thumb tip pretty much becomes invisible. Again, the length of time here is what matters, because even if you might be camouflaged here, you don't want to be in this position for long. If you notice, when I made the bill vanish initially, I put the bill in the thumb tip, I made it vanish, and then my hands went down. It wasn't this elongated movement where my hands are like this for a while, they're not like this for a while. It's just showing the hands empty and moving on from there. You don't want to ever just be like this. That's one of the misconceptions, at least that I've seen when it comes to beginner magicians and earlier magic books. That, for example, if there's a coin vanish that has them hold the coin in their fingertips like this, usually it's a momentary movement. It's not a movement that's supposed to be overt. However, you have a lot of magicians doing coin vanishes where the coin starts in this position and it becomes a little bit obvious or becomes unnatural. So this is just a temporary position. Now, another thing that you're going to have to keep in consideration is going to be the actual load itself. So obviously it has to fit in the thumb tip and it has to cover it completely. You don't want to have something sticking out, because then at that point it becomes a little bit obvious as to where the object went. So you want to make sure that whatever load you have actually fits not only the actual thumb tip itself, but also allows for your thumb to go in it without any sort of edges exposed. So that's going to be very, very important. Now, it does help that it sticks in your thumb snugly. However, you don't want it fitting all the way and stuck on your thumb. So in this case right now, you notice that even though there's a load in here and my thumb is extended by a little bit, if you compare the thumbs, obviously this one's going to be bigger. Spectators aren't going to notice that difference because they're not looking out for a thumb tip. That's one of the more crucial ideas when it comes to using a thumb tip. Spectators are not going to be looking for one, so they're not going to see it. It's one of the craziest things. I've used this many, many times, and it's astonishing to see what you could get away with by having a fake thumb. To you, it seems like it stands out like a sore thumb, but to spectators, they're not looking for this. They just see an empty hand, and to them, the bill just completely disappeared, or you're coming in with empty hands to produce something. So as far as uses, you could make things vanish, you could produce things, you could switch things. It's a very, very useful gimmick. And again, it's a covert gimmick. It's something that the spectators don't know you have. One of the things that I always say is don't carry cards. And I think that that holds true. I might go back and forth with a lot of people, but there's an actual methodology and a mentality between that thought. And it's not just something that I say as a joke to magicians because they don't leave the house. But I generally mean don't carry cards, because the perception of a magician is an unfortunate negative stigma. So we have a stigma when it comes to being magicians as being nerdy, as being geeky. And if you want to embrace that, go ahead. However, if you want to maintain some sort of social semblance, I would say don't carry things that would be different than what other people are carrying. Normal people carry keys. Normal people carry watches. Normal people carry wallets. Normal people might have business cards in their wallets. Normal people might have certain things that magicians might be able to exploit, change in their pocket. However, normal people don't carry cards on them. If the context of the situation calls for cards, then yeah, you could bring out the cards. Or maybe you're at a bar, you plant some cards, you could use those. But to take cards out of your pocket, it really sets a precedent that I think is negative. Now, the reason I went on a tangent is because this completely destroys that norm because of the fact that it's a covert gimmick. The spectators never see this. So you could carry this on you. This is fine. Other things like Greg Wilson's exact change is another example of a covert gimmick where you could have it in your pocket and the spectators don't know of its existence. So therefore, putting it in your pocket before you leave the house isn't necessarily a bad thing. So as far as a basic vanish and production, now thumb tips are interesting because it really allows you to play around with the environment. So if the environment calls for a certain thing, or you see a sugar packet, or you see something that fits in the thumb tip, you could definitely play around with that. A leaf, you can make a leaf vanish. So really play around with the environment, and you're going to be able to come up with spontaneous effects that are really substantial in the minds of spectators. Now, as far as this bill vanish, this is going to be very, very similar to the bill switch that we're going to cover on the next lesson. However, you're going to notice that it's going to differ in the fact that you're not switching the bills as far as just making this vanish. Now, as far as this vanish is using the folds of the bill in order to make it vanish. So apparently I'm folding the bill into nothing. So I'm just taking the bill and just folding it into existence or lack of existence. You don't have to necessarily do that. You could just take a bill. You could just take a bill as clear as day, fold it up, or necessarily just put it so it fits in the thumb tip. You could just make it vanish, and that's also good to go. However, I like this because it gives an action and a motivation for the folding, and the fact that we're folding the bill into nothing, which is a very, very interesting concept here. So let's go over that basic bill vanish, and with that, we're going to talk about just some basic principles of a thumb tip. So here, all we're going to do is we're going to fold this bill in half. So this bill is being folded in half in front. The next fold is going to be down, away from us. So the first one is like this. So we're going to fold it in half away from us. we're going to fold it down away from us. Then we're going to fold it from left to right. And then finally, we're going to fold up just like this. So now we have a bill folded into eighths. Now this is going to be where you're actually going to transfer the thumb from one hand to the other. So we're going to do a little bit of a transfer move here, but it's going to be covered in the action of folding the bill, just like that. So you notice that right now, I don't have the thumb tip in my hand, I have the thumb tip in my left hand. So that's going to be a nice little bit of a transfer move, and it's going to be the pretty much the crucial method in switching the bill. So here, we're just going to fold it. We're going to fold it once away. We're going to fold it this way. So our left hand is going to fold it over our fingertips of the right hand. At the same time, our left thumb is going to come in and just reach and pull that thumb tip into the left hand. So right now, that thumb tip is just being pulled by the left hand and the left thumb. So it's being held by the fingertips, essentially in a finger palm here. Now what's going to happen here is I'm just going to fold the bill one more time. It doesn't matter if you fold it up or if you fold it down. Folding it down is a little bit easier. And what we're going to do here is we're just going to take the bill and shove it into the thumb tip at the same time that we're going to stick our thumb in there. Now this is going to be hidden in the action of folding the bill. So this last one is just being hidden in the actual action of folding the bill, however you choose to go on with that choreography. However here, it's very, very simple. You're just going to take it, insert it in the thumb tip. As you pretend to fold it one more time, you could fold it one last time and then show your hands empty. So here, that last movement goes like this. We just fold it like this and then show our hands empty. Now again, your eyes are also going to be important because you don't want to stare at the thumb tip. The inclination as a human is to look at the guilty thing. You don't want to do that. So one thing is that I look at the hand that doesn't have the thumb tip because that's where the spectators are going to generally look. Now, if they do look at the hand, they're not going to see anything because, of course, the illusion here is that there isn't anything to see to begin with. So the action, one more time, you're just going to take the bill, fold it one more time, show the hands empty, just like this quickly. Another move here is to just show the hands empty like this. That's just simply done by bringing the hands together, turning them over, and just extending the hand this way. Again, the thumb being pointed at the spectator. So at speed, it should just look like this. And a quick little drop, or a quick little drop to this position, or a quick little drop to the table. But it's not going to be a prolonged gone. It's not going to be one of those actions. It's just going to be a quick hands are shown empty, and you move on from there. You can make the production of the bill from something that's on a table, or at this point, you could just go south and reach into your pocket and pull out something that's going to be relevant to whatever it is that you're going to show next. However, there you have a very, very clean vanish of a bill. Now, again, this is in the context of folding. You could just literally get the bill and shove it in there. However, I like the actual choreography of this because it really seems like the bill is completely gone and it should be somewhere, but it's not. Now, the interesting thing about a thumb tip is that you could literally produce anything from anywhere. So in this case, I just happen to have a shirt that I left on the chair here. You could just show the shirt, show your hand empty, reach in, pull out the bill, hand it to the spectator. Put your thumb inside of the thumb tip as you take the shirt, show that there's nothing in it, and then hand it back to the spectator as this hand goes south. So let's go over that at full instructional mode here, just for the sake of explanation. This could be literally anything. This could be a handkerchief on a table. This could be a woman's purse. So this is where you really have to play around the environment. One of my favorite magicians, as a matter of fact, let me go on a little bit of a tangent here, is Jeff Sheridan. And Jeff Sheridan is known for a beautiful routine known as cigarette and coat. And what he would do is that he would just make a little bit of a hole in the actual shirt itself. So he would hold the fabric like this. He would put the thumb tip inside and leave it in there. So now he has a little bit of a pocket. He would then take a cigarette, put it inside of the thumb tip, and you see the smoke rise, so it looks like the shirt's burning. However, the cigarette is inside of the thumb tip, safe. At this point, what he would do is he would push his thumb into the thumb tip, smothering the cigarette, putting it out, and because there's suction, it would lose oxygen and put the cigarette out as well. He would just take his hand out and continue holding the shirt as if the cigarette was in there, rub it, and then open the actual blazer itself to reveal that there's no cigarette and actually no burn whatsoever. And this is what he would hand out. Such a beautiful routine, and he would do this on the street of New York. So it's a very, very interesting sort of bit there in the 70s where he would hold court to, sometimes hundreds of people with just a coat and a thumb tip and a cigarette. Beautiful, beautiful little bit there. But here all we're doing is we're doing the exact same thing. We're just taking the thumb, we're wrapping it around the fabric, we're going to pull out the actual bill, we're going to hand it out, And here when we hand it out, we're just going to come in with our thumb as we grab a little bit of fabric here. So I'm just sticking my hand here as I could show the shirt to be normal, and everything's good to go. So it could be used as vanish, it could be used as a production, it could be used as pretty much anything that you could set your mind to. This is just a little bit of a skeleton to get your mind thinking. But a thumb tip is one of probably my most favorite gimmicks, just for the fact that you could do so much with it. You see people on AGT, for example, Smoothini is one person that I could think of that he used the thumb tip and it fooled millions of people. You see how many people are on the actual video saying, oh, how this guy did this, how he did this. And of course, it's using the humble thumb tip. So that is just a brief, I would say brief, but this is actually pretty comprehensive look at the thumb tip, some uses. In the next lesson, we're going to talk about the actual bill switch itself. And from then on, we're just going to talk about different ideas to use this lovely little tool with. So thank you guys for being members of the Pigcake Magic Academy, and I hope to see you on the next one.